Friends, reports are emerging that the Trump administration is considering launching an operation to capture Iran's enriched uranium. It is considering using its elite covert forces to enter Iran and seize its nuclear material. No final decision has been taken on this yet. However, such discussions are taking place. This is because bombing nuclear sites can be risky. There is a danger of radiation. Therefore, the Trump administration is thinking that physically capturing the uranium by entering Iran may be a better option. Iran has approximately 400 to 450 kilograms of uranium, which it has enriched up to 60-65%. For weapons-grade uranium, enrichment up to 95% is required. This means that Iran is not very far from nuclear weapons capability. With the stockpile that Iran has, it can make approximately 10 nuclear bombs. And now Iran also has a valid reason to develop nuclear weapons, as Israel and the United States have attacked Iran twice during negotiations. Because of this, Iran will not trust the negotiation process again. Considering nuclear weapons as the ultimate deterrent, it may think of enriching its uranium up to 90%. Many geopolitical analysts are pointing out that this miscalculation by the US and Israel could trigger an arms race in the region. Every country may start thinking about building a credible deterrence to protect its sovereignty and territorial integrity. As long as Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was alive, he had issued a fatwa against making nuclear weapons. He had declared that Iran would not build nuclear weapons. However, after his elimination, his successor is more assertive. And after the backstabbing that took place during peace talks, they will not trust the United States and Israel. They may consider building nuclear weapons. And the US and Israel do not want Iran to develop nuclear weapons under any circumstances. Now, airstrikes are not proving to be very successful. This is because Iran has developed its sensitive facilities 40 to 50 meters underground. These are located very deep. Therefore, the US thinks that capturing the uranium hidden underground is the only permanent solution. Now, the problem is that Iran has hidden this uranium deep underground. It is stored inside fortified bunkers. Reaching there is very difficult. Excavation will be required. Engineering teams will be needed. Heavy equipment will be required. A large number of troops will be needed. This will not be a small operation. Air cover will be required. Logistics will be needed. Extraction teams will be required. At the same time, protection from Iran's counterattacks will also be necessary. Iran will not allow its uranium to be taken away so easily. Therefore, this cannot be a covert or stealth mission. A mini invasion will have to be launched. Iran has shown strong retaliation capability in 21 days. It has demonstrated how it can attack using missiles and drones. It may also possess undeclared technologies. Therefore, any ground invasion will inevitably turn into a full-scale war. Heavy damage to the American side is also certain. Moreover, the challenge is not only reaching the uranium. Handling it is also a problem. Even if commandos reach the uranium, they will have to handle it properly. This is because uranium is radioactive. It is also chemically dangerous. Mishandling it can harm the soldiers. The risk of contamination can increase. Therefore, the extraction of uranium will be extremely challenging. If the US carries out this operation, it will set a very dangerous precedent. The United States has already captured Venezuela's sitting president forcefully. This has already sent a message that powerful countries can do whatever they want. They can openly violate international norms. Other powerful countries may also start thinking that they can violate the sovereignty of weaker nations. This will set a very wrong example. Therefore, this move by the US will also have serious geopolitical implications. The best way to handle nuclear threats was diplomacy, which the US and Israel themselves have destroyed. Iran had already agreed to give unprecedented concessions. A peace deal was about to be finalized, but the US and Israel attacked Iran. They eliminated the supreme leader and the war began. And now the US is thinking about directly seizing Iran's uranium by entering its territory. This is a very risky operation. Just imagine there will be chaos and high pressure conditions. In such a situation, if nuclear material gets misplaced, stolen or spread, it will become a nightmare for global security. So friends, the West Asian war is now moving to a stage where direct control is being discussed. This war is entering a more aggressive and risky phase. There are already more than 500 American troops in the region. On top of this, the US has deployed an additional 2,500 Marines. This is being seen as a preparation for a ground invasion of Iran. Now, Iran's geography is such that a ground invasion will be extremely expensive. So geopolitical analysts believe that instead of making this blunder, the US may try to capture Kharg Island. Kharg Island is Iran's main oil export hub. About 90% of Iran's oil exports take place from here. Kharg Island is located in the Persian Gulf. It is close to the Strait of Hormuz. It is called the heart of Iran's economy. So the US may try to hit Iran's economy by capturing Kharg Island. To choke Iran's economy, the US may take over Kharg Island. By capturing or blocking it, the US can hit Iran's revenue. This may make it difficult for Iran to fund the war. Through this, the US may force Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. This means the US is adopting a strategy of economic coercion in the war, because the US would prefer to gain leverage without invading the mainland. As if it makes the mistake of a full invasion of Iran, it could turn into a forever war. This would go against Trump's campaign promise. There are midterm elections in 2026, so such a blunder could be politically dangerous for Trump. So a full invasion may not happen, but Kharg Island is small, it is isolated, so it may be more manageable for the US. However, the problem is that Kharg Island is not very far from Iran's mainland. So even if the US captures it, it will not be able to hold it for long, because Iran will retaliate and American soldiers will be within range. Therefore, the plan to take over Kharg Island is also very risky. If you capture any country's territory, it becomes an act of war. It will turn into a full-scale war. American troops will come directly into the line of fire. Iran will continue to carry out counter-attacks. So the US may once again get trapped in a long-term military occupation like Vietnam, Iraq and Afghanistan. There are massive oil storage tanks and terminals on Kharg Island. If they get damaged during the conflict, oil prices will rise sharply. A crisis even bigger than the global energy crisis of the 1970s could occur. An environmental disaster will also take place. Oil spills may occur in the Persian Gulf. The marine ecosystem will be destroyed. Coastal economies will be hit. So this will become a global ecological disaster as well. Under heavy pressure, the reactive strategy of the United States, where such unusual plans are being made to capture uranium or take over Kharg Island, is extremely risky. The risk of miscalculation increases significantly. Earlier, the US itself was avoiding attacks on oil infrastructure. This was to prevent sudden disruption in global oil supply. This was to prevent oil prices from shooting up. And now the US itself is considering taking over Kharg Island. After this, Iran will definitely retaliate. If oil storage facilities are damaged during the conflict, it will lead to a global oil shock. Boots on the ground also go against Trump's campaign promise, because heavy military casualties are certain. When coffins return home, there will be severe public backlash. This is obvious. It appears that Iran has set a long war trap for the US. And if the US still tries to move forward and sets a dangerous precedent, other powers may try to copy this model. China may increase its assertiveness in the South China Sea. It may think about taking over Taiwan. Russia may try to control energy corridors. This will further destabilize the global order. So the US has prepared plans for ground deployment, plans to seize uranium, plans to capture Kharg Island and coastal areas. But no final decision has been taken yet. It would be better if the US sticks to a no boots on the ground strategy. It should resist pressure from Israel, because this carries the risk of a full-scale war. There is a strong possibility of environmental, geopolitical and nuclear threats emerging. At this moment, the situation is extremely fragile.